Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. Oh my goodness. Okay, we've got the working royals. We have Omid Scobie. We have people taking pot shots at Harry and Meghan. Oh my gosh, there's so much to cover. Let's just jump in and get there, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off with Princess Anne. Now, I already told you that she was in Germany, and she was there for the starting ceremony of the CHIO Equestrian Festival, which she impressively opened in fluent German. Anyway, I just wanted to go back to that because some more photos came out and I thought she looked lovely, so there you go. All right, moving on. Now, also in my previous video, I let you know that King Charles hosted a reception at the palace for the King's Award for Enterprise. Well, I told you that the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester was there, as well as the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, but I didn't have any pictures of them, but they popped up and I wanted to throw those at you, so there you go. Moving on. Moving on to Princess Catherine, she went to a building called the Young V&A, formerly known as the V&A Museum of Childhood in East London, and she reopened the building officially. It went through a 3-year renovation that cost like £13 million, they said. So she looked very happy when she got there. She met the museum staff, director of the Victoria and Albert Museum, Tristan Hunt. She is the very first patron that this museum has ever had. So she went in and she took a tour. It's the building, since it's been renovated, has reimagined display areas, and they worked very closely, they said, with local school children and teachers and parents and principals and, all that kind of staff. Now, there is an area there. It's dedicated to children ages 0 to 14. It's free to go to. There's 3 galleries called Play, Imagine, and Decide. And the areas have 2,000 items on display from the collection, which are supposed to, help inspire creativity among the children. It sounds like a fabulous place. She started in the Play Gallery, specifically aimed for toddlers, lots of sensory, things there. Then she moved on to the second area called Arcade, which is designed specifically for teenagers. We know that. And it's all about video and board games. And then she went to an area called Design, which helps educate children on how objects are created. And then she ended in the Imagine Gallery, which is where children can put on performances or do storytelling, because there's a new area in there called the Stage. Now, what I noticed is that the children took right to her, unlike another couple that we've seen before where Harry had to ask for them to hug the person that he was with. These children literally ran up and grabbed onto Catherine without being asked to. Now, frankly, it looks like they've done a beautiful job on it. I found it interesting that even though the museum had been called in Queen Victoria's name, no royal ever had a patronage there before. Anyway, as she was leaving, these children ran up and gave her some bags for her 3 children at home. They were extremely happy to get those bags. A big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for the information about her outfit. We have seen her in this outfit before, but she looked lovely, and I have massive hair envy. I want to know what products they're using so that when they blow her hair out, it comes out that bouncy. All right, so we know William worked very hard with his initiative. He was at Ascot. So that night, he went out to the Cocoa Club in Camden. He was seen up in like a box area with 2 friends. One of them is Guy Pelly, who happens to be Prince Louis's godfather and the nightclub owner. And then, another guy. So he looked very relaxed. You saw the dance moves. They're the dad dance moves, the kind that you really don't want to do on camera because, He was busting, they said, some old school moves inside the club. All right, moving on. Next up, we have the Duke of Edinburgh. Some pictures were taken of him. He was visiting St. John's Wood Park, and somebody managed to catch some pictures of him. Like there's no official photos, but looking good, Edward. All right, next up, we have Groundswell 2023. They were together looking at water management and techniques to make it efficient and cost-effective, on-farm solutions. And there was Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, in there, in the dirt, getting it on. I love her. She looks fabulous. And as usual, a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce. All right, next up, I hope I'm saying this name correct. David Ogilvy, who is the 13th Earl of Arleigh, has passed away. Now, he was a friend of Queen Elizabeth II. He was a key mourner at her funeral. He was at King Charles's coronation with his son. He was Lord Chamberlain of the Queen's household, Captain General of her bodyguards, Royal Company of Archers. And he was still working for the king. Bless him. All right, moving on. All right, going back to Prince William, Good Morning Britain star Kate Galloway. She was recognized for her service in broadcasting and journalism and charity. Apparently, she's been on TV for longer than 3 decades, and she's been working for ITV since the year 2000. She's on Good Morning Britain. She was there to receive her award from Prince William. She became an MBE at Windsor Castle, and her husband was there to watch. Now, her husband, who's only 55 in these pictures, I'm not going to lie, he looks much older, apparently had COVID. He became quite ill from COVID. He's like in a wheelchair. We all know about this COVID thing. I'm not even going to get into it with you guys. You know what happened to me when I got COVID. I hope that never happens to anybody else. Hard. Her husband, who was a former political advisor, got COVID, and he has long-lasting damage to his organs, and he needs daily care now. He can't even, poor man, bless him. Now, also, Sir Grayson Perry was made a Knight Bachelor by Prince William for services to the arts. Wow. Moving on to Johnny. Now, we know he's Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Thompson. People are saying that he should be the next 007. Now, we do know that initially he was working for Queen Elizabeth. He was one of her most senior bodyguards. And then when she passed away, before she passed away, remember, he was sitting in the church behind Harry and Meghan doing his eavesdropping thing. When the Queen passed away, he went to work for Charles. He's now become one of his, senior bodyguard people. Guys, I love Johnny. He's a good piece of eye candy, fabulous man. However, like the other person said, just because the door is opened doesn't mean that you have the talent. So while he may be eye candy, he may not be able to act. All right, moving on. All right, let's go back to King Charles. He went today to the Guildhall in the city of London. He did a presentation for Climate Action Innovation Forum. And he launched his climate clock, which is really cool. He launched the clock with Mayor Khan. And what the climate clock is an indicator that highlights the predication that there are just over 6 years to act in order to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees. That's pretty cool. I wonder whose idea that was. Probably Charles, because we know he's been talking about climate change for forever. All right, next up, at Buckingham Palace today, the king unveiled the Astra Carta seal. Yes, I know. Now, what this does is marks the launch of the Sustainable Markets Initiative Astra Carta framework. And what that is it promotes sustainability across the space industry. In other words, no space junk. What Charles said was that the space industry needs to consider sustainability that impacts beyond our planet, and they should place a focus on, sustainability at the core of the space program. He met with astrophysics. He met with, all kinds of people there, astronauts, pretty cool. Now, when that was over, King Charles and Queen Camilla went and attended the Animal Ball at the Lancaster House, and this marked the 20th anniversary of wildlife conservation charity Elephant Family. Wonderful. Now, while they're there, the King and Queen are going to give 2 awards, the Mark Shand Award and the Tara Award, which recognizes contributions to protecting the wildlife. All right, guys, here we go on with Harry and Meghan. Harry's attorneys did their closing remarks for his lawsuit. Now, Harry's team detailed what they considered to be unlawful means that, the newspaper used to get private information. It was the phone hacking. The Mirror Group lead attorney said in court there's no evidence that Prince Harry was ever hacked, and that suspicion is not proof, and that a lot of the articles in question had been published before the prince even had a cell phone. So this is where it gets really interesting, because a judge told Harry's attorney, show me the evidence. Let me see particular examples if you have them. And the attorney replies, if this is something your lordship is particularly interested in us highlighting, we'll do so, but with respect. It is not correct to say I haven't highlighted this. The problem is he didn't highlight this. We all know a lot of the allegations were articles Harry never read, that came from Harry himself, that came from other places. I mean, Harry looked like an idiot on the stand. Now, Harry's attorney also pointed out the fact that Piers Morgan wasn't called as a witness, and he said, quote, rather than come and give evidence, he's chosen to confine his comments outside the courtroom, and that leaves holes, we say fatal holes, in the defendant's case. The defense said, why would we call him if those matters can be resolved by looking at the documentary evidence? Why would we need to call him? And in their written closing submissions, the defense attorney said, quote, this voicemail interception litigation is being used as a vehicle to seek to reform the British media today, with the Duke referring to articles published 30 years ago to support his campaign. I mean, they basically pointed out that his claim is substantially baseless, and I agree. All right, moving on. All right, this next article came out that the royal family is terrified Meghan is going to unleash chaos with her next project. Really, what else could she possibly do? Ugh, moving on. Next up, everybody's going on again about the whole Netflix deal and it's not going anywhere. Let me tell you what I think is going to happen. First of all, the contract is up in 2025. I don't believe Netflix is going to renew. But unlike Spotify, I don't think that Netflix gave them just a little bit of money and they had to meet a metric. I think Netflix was stupid enough to give them a huge sum of money. And Netflix isn't going to cancel them because Netflix wants to try to get their money's worth out of them. That's why the contract's not being canceled. But I don't think it's going to be renewed. We know that their ideas were bad. We know that nothing that they've pitched has come to fruition. We know that they've pitched ideas that were basically remakes of stuff that was already on Netflix. I mean, everything that they can't come up with anything on their own. We already know this, guys. Articles like this are coming out. She's set to go solo after being told to trade in the double act for a one-woman show. See, I don't think so. I think Harry was the draw. He's the royal, not her. I just don't believe that. So now Harry and Meghan are upset, saying that people are taking quote unquote cheap shots, right? Because Bill Simmons said they were grifters. And the CEO of United Talent Agency, Jeremy Zimmer, went on the record and said she's got like no talent. And Sharon Osbourne's daughter came out and called, well, we know what she called Harry. And Spotify, according to this article, was supposed to come out and say how great it was to work with Meghan, but that didn't happen. And, so they're like, everybody's taking a shot. That's right. They are. I just find that shocking. How do you think the royal family has been feeling for the last 3 years while you've been taking cheap shots at them on a global national stage? Yeah, you don't like the shoe on the other foot? They bring a lot of this on themselves. Here's Shalyn Lester, okay? One of her videos was used by Harry and Meghan in that Netflix crap in the fifth, edition of whatever it was that they put out. And basically in the fifth episode, and they claim that they were the victims of a trolling conspiracy, and there was a targeted hate campaign perpetrated by a handful of users, and she was one of the people that did it. So now she's come out and said she's going to pursue every opportunity to nail them to the wall. She's taking a page out of Harry's book and is hinting now that she may sue them. She said and I'm quoting, it's defamation, it's slander, it's mischaracterization, and it's misinformation. The clip of her, she discusses Harry and Meghan's relationship, and it was shown as one of the YouTube videos that flashed up, during the Netflix series. And it just makes her look like she's part of that coordinated hate campaign, which supposedly was going on, according to Christopher Boozy. Now remember, Boozy said, well, we all remember what he said. Anyway, she said that she's never made any content from an account other than her own. And she says, how did I influence millions of people to harass Harry and Meghan and no one can find one shred of evidence? As usual, nothing these two make sense. And any report in this documentary is pure pathetic fiction. Yep. All right, we're going to finish up with Omid Scooby-Doo here. He's going to release another book that he says covers the future of the royal family. Now, first of all, okay, I'm sorry. His face looks like it's melting off. I'm sorry. Let me digress. We know that Harry and Meghan claimed they had nothing to do with finding freedom, and then, of course, we found out in court that they did. This new book is called Endgame: Inside the Royal Family and the Monarchy's Fight for Survival. The description on the book says that he pulls back the curtain on the firm, exposing chaos, family dysfunction, distrust, and draconian practices. Now, this is where I get a little bit confused. So I agree with this Twitter user. Omid Scobie has no royal access. He is pro Harry and Meghan. He gives factually incorrect information on television about he's been caught lying about his age. He's been barred access to almost every royal event. He didn't get in for the coronation. And I agree. I think that anything he writes is just going to be more of Meghan's claims that are coming from Harry and Meghan. It'll be more of the skin color is needed to save the monarchy, and blah, blah, blah. I'm not wasting a dime of my money. I have to tell you, I did not buy Finding Freedom, and I will not be buying this book either. The man was caught lying in a court of law. Why is he still writing books? All right, you guys, you know what I want. Put those comments down and make them good. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell. If you've already hit the button, double check and make sure that you are still subscribed. Go into the description box and you'll find the link to Twitter, Getter, Rumble, email, and a physical address in case there's something you want to send. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund or through the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.